Welcome to New York University's Robert F. Wagner Graduate School of Public Service 2023 Convocation Ceremony. Please welcome our distinguished Dean, Sherry Gleed.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sherry Gleed, Dean of the Robert F. Wagner Graduate School of Public Service at NYU. Welcome, NYU Wagner faculty and staff. Welcome to this year's Convocation speaker, former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, and this past semester, our visiting Marnold Fellow. Welcome, parents and children, partners and spouses, family and friends. And most importantly, welcome to the members of the 2023 graduating class of NYU Wagner. It has been an honor and a privilege to be your dean, and I am so delighted to be here with you today to mark this important moment in your lives. It's a day to celebrate, to reflect on, and to be proud of what you've accomplished to get here. Many of you worked full-time while going to school. For many of you, econ homework, Excel labs, and capstone meetings, competed with parent-teacher conferences, and other family responsibilities for your time. Some of you are the first in your families to attend graduate school, and some the first to attend college. Many of you made great financial sacrifices to obtain this degree, and despite all that, you, to quote the NYU motto, per stare et prestare, you persevered and you excelled. So please take a moment to congratulate yourselves and your classmates on this momentous achievement. NYU Wagner was founded some 85 years ago as the US emerged from the Great Depression and just before we entered World War II. Since then, our graduates have proudly undertaken public service in a remarkable variety of circumstances and environments. Even within that broad range of experiences, the graduate class of 2023 sits at an inflection point. You are our first class post-COVID. Phew. And I suspect our last class to have finished most of your coursework before the onslaught of ChatGPT. Future classes will have to contend with statements, videos engineered by machines, whether for good. AI seems particularly threatening today because it comes to us as just the latest blow in a world rocked by allegations of fake news, misinformation, and undermined by a pervasive lack of trust, one that was amplified during COVID. My late father, whose formal education ended in the 8th grade, learned everything he knew from the books he read as a young adult, and he would sprinkle his conversation with a selection of his favorite sayings and proverbs, language that expressed succinctly and elegantly some idea that resonated with his own experience. One of his favorites was that there is nothing new under the sun. In a way, that was a curious proverb for him to mark as a favorite because he loved gadgets and innovations and technology, and he was certainly well aware that each day the world was full of new things the sun had never seen before. At the same time, though, his study and experience of history helped him to situate his observations of the novel in his understanding of the past. He would have loved ChatGPT, a technologically marvelous, lightning-speed writing machine, and he also would have reminded me that there is nothing at all new about fake news and misinformation. As some of you know, I am a huge opera fan. I got that from my mom and dad. And 19th century Italian opera, my favorite, is full of scenes of misinformation and fake news. Portraits of prospective brides and grooms that don't match the reality, forged letters that implicate the wrong person, and in Aida, the deliberately faked news about the death of Radames, the captain of the mighty Egyptian army. Long before Fox News and Dominion voting systems, yellow journalism in the late 19th century manipulated the facts to push the US into war over the Philippines just to sell newspapers. Stalin was retouching photos to erase his political enemies back in the 1930s. Of course, those efforts used much slower, cruder techniques than we have now, pen and ink and telegraph machines. By the late 19th century, however, writers were already grappling with the idea of machines that could think for themselves. Many, many years ago, as a college student, intrigued by the idea of how we might build a better society, I took a course on novels about utopia. And one of them, Samuel Butler's Erewhon, written in 1875, includes several chapters about the potential evolution of machines. In the interest of time, I asked ChatGPT to summarize Butler for me. And in up-to-date language it returned, quote, "The author expresses concern about the rapid development of machines rather than their current state, emphasizing the need to closely monitor and curb their progress. It suggests that despite their present harmlessness, eliminating the more advanced machines in use is necessary to prevent potential future consequences." Not out of place on the New York Times editorial page, I think. As Butler's narrator found, though, it's not easy to make the machines go away. What will it mean, then, to do public service in the age of artificial intelligence? I think my father's proverb and Butler's novel give us an insight. Our trust should not, never could, never will lie in things. The world may change. The nature of objects, photographs, videos, reports may change, but our trust must lie in the moral sense of individuals and institutions. In coming to Wagner, you have placed your trust in us, in our ability to give you the tools and frameworks and contexts in which to put your passions into action, and to give you strategies to gauge the trustworthiness of those you will work with along the way. In your statistics and financial management classes, you learned about how to kick the tires of a quantitative analysis or a balance sheet. In your economics class, you learned that ideas that seem sensible on the surface can have unanticipated negative consequences. In your public policy class, you learned to see how institutions and stakeholders shape the reality before you. In your management and leadership class, you thought about how to build trust by identifying common ground with someone very different. And you came to appreciate how distinct individuals can work together and trust one another in teams. And in capstone, I hope you learned how to put all that together and go beyond the limits of artificial intelligence by applying those ideas to a very specific new problem shaped by the very specific context of the organizations you supported. You have placed your trust in us to develop these skills, and now we place our trust in you as you go out and put those skills to work for the public good. The world is going to keep changing under your feet. You will face unexpected dilemmas and take advantage of innovative tools. But in the end, while it will seem that the sun is shining on many new things, there is nothing new in the need to rely on the trustworthiness and moral sense of those who seek to serve the public good. In the words of our namesake, Mayor Robert F. Wagner, public service is the highest good, and when done honorably and well, the most rewarding. Congratulations and best of luck to all of you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Andy Hamilton, NYU's president.
Dean Gleed, Mr. Mayor, colleagues, family, friends, and most of all, the amazing, the outstanding NYU Wagner class of 2023. Congratulations to you all. On this magnificent afternoon, I bring greetings to you all from the wider university, this great university from which this afternoon you will graduate. On Wednesday, we all gathered together at Yankee Stadium. This is truly a wonderful week for the university to see its students take that next step in their lives. I have to confess to you all, it's a very busy day for me today. You are my third of 5, get that, 5 graduation ceremonies. I started off at Madison Square Garden with Stern. I then went to Radio City Music Hall for Tisch, and now I'm here at this magnificent New York City Center with all of you from the Wagner School. And as I stand on a magnificent stage like this, I can't help but give in to that feeling that I need to channel my inner rock star. You know, this is a play, but I question, you know, which rock star should it be? Perhaps my inner Beyonce, perhaps, or Adele. But no, the rock star that I'm channeling most of all today as I go from Madison Square Garden to Radio City Music Hall to here is Elton John. You know, Elton John. Now, why Elton John? He's got a cute English accent, just like me. He's old, just like me. He's on a farewell tour, just like me. He's playing to packed crowds, just like me. And, however, I get to wear even more gorgeous gowns than Elton John. Look at this. And I tell you, Elton John never played New York City Center, Madison Square Garden, and Radio City Music Hall in one day. So, to all of you, this is a very special moment, and I'm just thrilled to have the chance to be here to congratulate all of you, to congratulate your family and friends on your achievements at NYU. And this opportunity to visit so many schools and see the graduates reminds me of a fundamental truth. It's something I think all of you have come to know these past years. NYU is thriving. NYU schools are thriving. NYU Wagner is thriving. But most of all, NYU's graduates are thriving. Despite all of the challenges that the world throws up, you are thriving. As I step back and look at NYU Wagner this year, I see a whole suite of accomplishments to this remarkable school. This year, a member of your class of 2023, interviewed Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg during an event NYU Wagner hosted on transportation and climate policy. NYU Wagner recently launched a new and important degree program, the Masters in Health Law and Strategy, in conjunction with NYU School of Law. 7 NYU Wagner alumni, along with Dean Gleed, were named to the City and State's 2022 list of the most influential women in New York City politics and the most influential people in the New York nonprofit sector. NYU Wagner is home to a winner of this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Faculty Award and 2 winners of the Distinguished Young Alumni Award. And NYU Wagner, as we always know it will, it continues to carry out research that has impact, including a report just recently on storm preparation, response and recovery in the aftermath of this winter's deadly storm in Erie County, New York. These are just a few of the many highlights I could have touched upon for a great year for NYU Wagner, but we all know that at the heart of a great university, at the heart of a great school of public service is you, the students who study here, who go out into the world with your education. And as I look at you this afternoon, I see a sea of violet, a sea of smiling, happy faces. But I am also ringing in my ears, in a sense, the comments that Dean Gleed made of the world of fake news. And we hear a great deal about divisiveness and division in the world today. But I look out at our NYU Wagner graduates, and I see an antidote to divisiveness and division. I see unity when I look at you. You help the structures of our society hold together. Our communities, our cities, our institutions, our political systems, you help them work better. You strive to make the world more equitable and more just. You are united in so many ways, but especially you are united in your desire to have a positive impact in the world, but to do so one community at a time, one organization at a time, one city at a time, one system at a time. Now, as you graduate from NYU Wagner, you will, of course, draw often on all that you have learned here. You will also draw on your innate talent and drive. But I want to assure you that you will also make great use. You will find invaluable the strength of the NYU Wagner community. You will draw on all of these things to make a difference in the world, no matter where your path leads, no matter where that next chapter in your lives takes place. And so to each and every one of our graduating students this afternoon, do know that you take with you my very, very best wishes for the future. And as the president of NYU, I'm not going to be able to say that for much longer, so I'll say it as often as I can. As the president of NYU, I speak on behalf of the whole university, and I assure you, you also take with you, as you leave this university, you take with you the immense pride of the entire NYU community. NYU Wagner class of 2023, congratulations, every one of you. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, President Hamilton, for making today's occasion really special with that celebratory and meaningful tribute. And we are just delighted that you could join us on your valedictory tour. It is a tradition here at Wagner to ask a student to introduce the convocation speaker, as this is your moment and your day. This year, we are delighted to give that honor to Zilin Liang. Zilin is graduating from our public and nonprofit management and policy program, and she's a great example of someone who is open to new perspectives and who combines those perspectives with the skills she gained at Wagner to expand her impact. After a corporate career in sales and marketing, she came to Wagner to adapt her skills to public service. Zilin is passionate about housing policy's role in advancing socioeconomic mobility. During her time at Wagner, she served as the Bloomberg Policy Fellow and then the Wagner Fellow at the NYU Furman Center for Real Estate and Urban Policy. We were fortunate to have her talents here at Wagner, and now the world is fortunate to gain them. Next month, Zilin will join the New York City Housing Development Corporation as a senior project manager for public housing. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Zilin Liang.
Thank you, Dean Gleed, for your kind introduction. Thank you to the faculty, staff, friends, and family members for joining us today for this momentous occasion. To my peers, congratulations! We did it! I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for making Wagner the community that it is. Thank you for the lively debates in and outside of the classroom that broadened my perspective and lived rent-free in my head for weeks after. Thank you for mentoring, tutoring, and TAing to support your fellow students. Thank you for joining clubs, moderating career panels, and hosting happy hours at Amity Hall on Wagner's dime. You've fostered a community that consistently questions the status quo and aspires to leave things better than you found them. I feel immense pride and optimism to be in your company. Optimism doesn't always come easy to me. 3 years ago, I spent a lot of time doom scrolling instead of doing my actual job at a software company. Newspapers published daily death counts and spotlighted the pandemic's disparate impacts. It felt like every day hit a new high score of misery. After months of spiraling, I needed to reframe my despair in something productive and sustainable. What could I do to make the world a better place? What could I do to help other people? I didn't know anyone who worked in government, nonprofit, or mission-driven organizations, and so I reflected on my own life. My family and I have never worried about eviction thanks to the New York City Housing Authority. I never missed a meal, in part because public schools offered free breakfast and lunch for low-income students. I got my first job at 14, making photocopies for the Department of Probation through the city's summer youth employment program. In ways big and small, critical policies and programs designed and administered by compassionate public servants provided me and my family with the necessary foundation from which we could thrive. The pandemic gave me a deeper appreciation for the role public servants play in helping people make the most of the cards they're dealt. Perhaps even give people better cards. I wanted to become the kind of person who would contribute to that effort. And I thought, if the world doesn't end and we manage to survive the pandemic, that too will be because of public servants. I suspect you all felt similarly because you chose to attend a school whose namesake said public service is the highest good, and when done honorably and well, the most rewarding. But coming to Wagner and completing a degree won't make us immune to bouts of despair. Fortunately, this school, this community, this faculty and staff have equipped us with the pragmatic tools to mobilize. And optimism, the belief we can make a difference, is the fuel for execution. No one knows that better than our keynote speaker today, Bill de Blasio. Mr. de Blasio graduated from NYU nearly 40 years ago today, and since built a career as the ultimate public servant. He's been an activist, a political organizer, a community school board member, a federal housing administrator, a New York City Council member, the city's public advocate, and the 109th mayor of the city of New York. Underpinning his ascension to the highest office in this great city was the belief that a more fair and inclusive world is possible. In other words, optimism. This year, Mr. de Blasio added educator to his resume and joined the Wagner faculty as the 2023 Marnold Visiting Fellow. Mr. de Blasio taught topics in public policy, offering aspiring public servants an incomparable opportunity to learn from his experiences of many hard-won successes in city administration, coalition building, and service provision. This includes ending stop and frisk, securing a $15 minimum wage, and creating universal pre-K. When the pandemic arrived 3 years ago, there was no time for despair. Mr. de Blasio worked to increase COVID testing capacity to 100,000 a day through the Test and Trace Corps, expanded our hospital's capacity with 3,000 new beds, and championed new public green spaces and the Open Streets program. In the face of compounding and seemingly insurmountable crises, Mr. de Blasio's optimism prevailed. While I don't wish for another pandemic, we will probably face similarly daunting challenges in our careers. And when we do, this community's commitment to public service will help us rise to the occasion. Look around. We are surrounded by and celebrating hundreds of our peers today because we believe it is possible to make a difference. We can take active steps, bit by bit every day, to build towards our vision of a more just and healthy society. We know public service is challenging, sometimes thankless, but always worthwhile. And so it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker who embodies these values and has chosen optimism in public service time and time again. Please join me in welcoming former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Well done. Zillian, that was absolutely beautiful, and your energy, your optimism, your passion for this work just shines through. Let's thank her for all she is going to do. I was supposed to give a speech, but I'm here to make actually an important entertainment announcement that there will be a duo. It's big news in Hollywood. It's big news all over the country. Andy Hamilton and Beyonce are doing a duet. It's going to drop later tonight, and it's going to be big. Andy Hamilton, thank you for all you've done for this city and this university. The steely, yet always optimistic, always getting the job done, Dean Sherry Gleed, thank you. And thank all the faculty who were there for you over these years. I'm going to ask an extremely loud thanks for parents and loved ones and family members and friends, everyone who saw you through to this day. Louder. And finally, look around you. Look at your classmates. Look at your neighbors today. The great people you shared this with. Give your neighbor a round of applause. Okay, we're going to do a little more audience participation. I have a question for you. It might seem a little strange at first, but you'll see where it goes in a moment. A question, I want to see a show of hands. Who here, amongst the students, amongst the graduates, who here wants to get married? Raise your hand. I'll explain in a moment. Just, okay, who wants to get, okay, wait, first, who is married already? Let's do that. Who wants to get married? Raise your hand. Okay, who's not sure if you want to get married? Who 100% does not want to get married? Okay. Good, I'm glad we covered that. Now, why am I asking you that? Because I want to tell you about my wedding day. May 14th, 1991, Prospect Park, Brooklyn. And if you say, is that because you were too cheap to get a banquet hall, there may be some truth in that. No, we were kind of had a hippie kind of, you know, love and peace and freedom, and let's do a marriage ceremony in the park. And it's a beautiful spring day. And minister did the ceremony, great guy. He was an activist, he had been a public servant, and he put his own personal touch on the ceremony. And in the midst of getting ready to ask us to express our vows, he urged us to think about the journey we were about to undertake. He said to Charlene and I that he wished us a strong and good journey in our search for meaning and purpose. Now, this is the wedding day. It's a beautiful day, it's a joyous day, but he wanted to center us in something more eternal in a sense, not just our love for each other, but the love we had to bring to our community and our world. So I heard that, and it reverberated through my mind, and it's still in me to this day. I have never left that. It's guided me. Search for meaning and purpose has been something I refer to almost daily, because we have to keep growing in that search and working to perfect it and working to do more. Now, you all have already taken such a big step on that road in that search because you came to Wagner. You got accepted to Wagner, which meant you were very good. And then you applied yourself to the possibilities of making the world different. I have to say that what you have done is the same as when a candidate runs for office and they win the election. You have won the election. You're graduating. That's fantastic. But as every candidate learns, that's the easy part. The hard part is governing. And now it's time to govern in your lives. Now it is time to make an impact, but also in that search for meaning and purpose to find what sustains you. What gives you strength? What gives you hope? What sustains your mental health, your physical health, your ability to be good to the people around you? I'm going to give you a little vignette because it's true. In the summer of 1993, I was working on the re-election campaign of David Dinkins, and the campaign headquarters was on West 42nd Street. Summer day, I walk through the doors into the lobby of the building, and suddenly I feel this incredible wave, like almost a physical, intense wave of exhaustion. Well into the campaign, long days, long nights, and I felt almost a paralyzing sense of exhaustion. And in my mind, in the internal conversation, I said to myself, this must be what burnout feels like. And then I kept walking. And I worked really hard to find the things that would sustain me. I spent time with friends and family. I really took the time I needed for exercise or to be outdoors or whatever it was that I needed. Everyone needs something different, but you've got to find that thing, because the challenge will always be there. When you do good in the world, it will exhaust you. When you do good in the world, there's no such thing as short hours and easy scenarios. You have made an incredibly important choice, such a noble choice, but now you have to make the choice to sustain it. And I want to tell you that there will be days when you feel these challenges overtake you. There'll be days when you feel defeated. And I'm going to tell you as simply as I can, we can't let that happen to you. And you can't let that happen to you. Because we desperately need you. We need you. This city needs you, this country needs you, this world needs you, this society needs you. We need you. And that places a burden on you, and it also places a hope on you. I will tell you in my own example, I couldn't even count all the setbacks, all the challenges, all the mistakes. But I found some way with the help of so many good people to persevere. And I'll tell you that when you persevere, you might be amazed what's out there. I dreamed at one point, you heard about pre-K for all, I dreamed that we could give every child in New York City full-day pre-K for free. I didn't know if it could happen. But if I hadn't dreamed it and the people around me hadn't dreamed it and we had not persevered, it never would have happened. And it was a long shot and it was difficult and there was many times it looked like it was about to collapse. But we believed, and because we believed, we were at the right place and the right time to do it. And now, literally since 2014, almost 500,000 children have gotten pre-K for free in New York City. So finding that belief in yourself, like literally that self-faith, that belief that you can move mountains, that's what allows you to move mountains, and the absence of that faith guarantees you will not. When you get to that day when something you dreamed of actually happens, that you made happen, it is an unparalleled feeling. It is worth a lifetime's work. It will happen for you. You will get to that day. But in the conversations I had with so many of you this semester, I heard the fears, I heard the hesitations, I heard the things that people saw as extraordinary barriers. I'm going to speak to them very, very quickly. I heard constantly the fear of the nastiness, the negativity, particularly on social media. I will easily dispose of this matter by saying social media is not real life. It isn't. It's where nasty people go to express themselves. It is not the sum total of humanity. Don't dwell there. Dwell in the streets and the neighborhoods amongst the people and you will find goodness. You heard my colleagues talk about polarized society. Everyone's so worried about that. And many people have said to me it's the worst it's ever been. No, it's not the worst it's ever been by a long shot. You heard the stories, misinformation, fake news go back a long way, conflict goes back a long way. If people are worried about someday there might be a civil war in America, there already was a civil war in America. And I'm not saying that out of joy, I'm saying we overcame that. We overcame the McCarthy period when our democracy was almost shut down and freedom of speech was almost canceled. We overcame the political violence and the pain of the 1960s. We can overcome. And when you confront problems that seem beyond repair, you have to look to history and see every generation before you stared down that same reality. Do you think when Nazism and fascism started to grip the world, do you think people thought it would be easy to turn it around? Of course not. So what have you been given? You've been given arguably the toughest challenges ever. You have the challenge of the climate crisis. And anyone who is daunted, anyone who feels that that's too much, I don't blame you, except history tells us that we can find a way, and the only way we're going to know is if you fight. If you believe there will be a solution. And we see technology starting to help us, and we see activism all over the world, and we see governments changing and companies changing because people stood up. And you heard the threat of artificial intelligence, and I say threat. I don't want to mince words. Are there great elements to artificial intelligence? Will there be tremendous possibilities? Of course. But right now, if it is not reined in, if it is not made transparent, if it is not regulated, if there's not democracy brought to the process, there's tremendous danger. I'm sorry it is up to you to crack that code and overcome that challenge. But I know you can do it. History tells us you can do it. Only if you take on that challenge, only if you believe it is yours to resolve. Look, I had an experience that shocked me just a couple of weeks ago, a forum at the Stern School. A student raised his hand, very earnest. He said, well, what would you say to someone who said, you know, democracy has resulted in a lot of insecurity. There's crime and there's conflict. Maybe there's an argument that in an autocracy, in a state where people don't have as much freedom, maybe people would feel more secure. Isn't that maybe a better way to go? And he meant it. And it made my blood run cold. Because of course, it is so simple to cede all possibility of decision and self-determination to others. That's a very easy path, and it's a horrifying one. And it's one you would regret from the very first moment. But the path of owning your society and owning your future and building what you believe in is much, much harder, but it is profoundly necessary and gratifying. To use the cultural example, and some of you will feel this strongly and others may feel it's a little dated, but each of you has to be like Neo in the Matrix. You have to realize you can stop the bullet. You have to be able to see the code. And if you're thinking right now that I just compared all of you to Keanu Reeves, it's true. I've met you all. I feel that about each and every one of you. You have to know your power. You have to recognize it. You are literally the most educated and prepared generation in the history of the world, literally. You can clap for that. You are forged in the fire of multiple crises. Your coming up has not been easy, and the world around you has not been easy, but it has made you tougher, it has made you more resilient, more realistic, and yet I find in so many of you a profound empathy. I find that you have overcome the biases that held down so many people in the past. This is a special generation. It is a generation called to greatness. And you may feel sometimes that that couldn't possibly be you. You may feel unsure. You may feel unsteady. There'll be moments when you need to catch your breath. There will be moments when you need to lean on each other. But if you keep searching for meaning and purpose, if you put that in front of you as your North Star, you will find what you seek. And we need you to do it. If you love this work, if you love the possibility of making the world better, if you love easing a burden and lighting a path, then we need you to do that, and we need you to succeed. And everyone here believes that you can and you will. You have to believe it. I'll conclude with this. The last speech given by Martin Luther King Jr. is often quoted because he basically prophesied what was going to happen to him the next day. But a lot of that speech that night, you really should watch the whole thing. It's incredibly powerful, and a lot of it is this beautiful literary device, basically, he uses to talk about where he wished he had been in all of the history of humankind. And he creates the notion that an angel comes to him and travels with him through time and takes him to Egypt of the pharaohs and takes him to the Renaissance and takes him to ancient Rome and all these places. And the angel says, do you want to alight here? Do you want to be part of this time? And Martin Luther King says, he tells the angel each and every time, keep going. And they end up in the year 1968. Time of incredible violence, conflict, confusion, but also a time of great change. And he concludes that section of speech and says, he tells the angel, this is where I want to be. Because in this moment, there's a possibility of change. More than ever before in history, even with the great challenges, in this moment, there is a profound possibility of hope. You are in that moment even more so now. You're in a time unprecedented. The world needs more healing and protecting than ever in our history. And that is precisely the time that you have arrived on the stage. And that is why we need you so much more. So my last point to you, you are wearing a special garb today, special costume, or maybe it's a uniform. It could be a cap and gown, or maybe that's a cape you're wearing. So this may be a little cheesy, but for where I am standing and what I see right now, I see heroes in the making. You won't need that whole cap and gown, you'll only need the cape part. I see heroes in the making, and I thank you for being on this path. I ask you to keep searching, and I know you will find that meaning and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you for those words of inspiration.
Thank you.
And we have a little gift for you.
I got a gift.
Swag.
Thank you.
Each year at Convocation, we honor graduating students whose significant contributions to public service leadership within the NYU Wagner community and beyond deserve special commendation. We recognize the awardees for their extraordinary dedication and engagement. In your program, you'll find a description of the awards and short bios for each awardee. I will now call up the awardees. The Martin Dworkis Memorial Award is given to a student for academic achievement, participation in Wagner School activities, and public service. We consider this award the best all around. I am pleased to announce that we have 2 awardees this year, Rachel Bala and Nancy Gonzalez. You're supposed to do pictures? We're supposed to do pictures.
Yes. Oh, okay.
The Robert F. Wagner Award for Public Service is given to a student for exceptional dedication to public service during their time at Wagner. That's often a part-time student or someone who's working full-time in the field while at Wagner and who contributes to the Wagner community in a significant way. I'm pleased to announce this year's awards are Celine Castrucci and Jacqueline Ramales. The Sterling D. Sparrow Prize is for exceptional written work. This year's awardee is Patrick Sposter. The Hamad Fund International Leadership Award is for contribution to the global experience, academic success, and exceptional capacity for international leadership. This year's awardee is Jagger Huang. The Robert Byrne Award for Leadership is given for significant contribution to the Wagner community and goes to 3 students this year. Each one of them has contributed in numerous ways to enhance the Wagner experience through student group involvement, recruitment activities for our admissions office, and helping to raise the profile of the school. They are Aisha Balogan, Rachel Bierman, and Maggie Jean Knight. The Joe Ivy Buford Award for Innovative Solutions to Public Service Challenges goes to a team of capstone students who are the founders of Tandem, which seeks to create a formalized safety net in the absence of institutional support for the 65,000 food delivery workers in New York City. The recipients are Ellie Kiernan, Jacqueline Ramales, and Annie Schoenberger. You got it, it's all good. The Ellen Shaw Award for Diversity is given to a student for their significant contribution and commitment to inclusion, diversity, belonging, equity, and access at NYU Wagner. This year's 2 recipients are Amber Cefalio and Saie Vicharoy. The Howard Newman Award is given to a capstone team for exemplary teamwork, client relations, and final deliverables. The client was the Arthur Project, and the awardees are Todd Baker, Deborah Dennis, Charmaine Gentlis, and Haley Qualis. And finally, the Doctoral Student Teaching Award is given to recognize significant contribution and commitment to teaching by a doctoral student, and the awardees are Spencer Gwozdik, who is not with us today, and Seeling Liao, who is. Congratulations to all of our awardees. I would like to also acknowledge the many more of you who received awards and accolades this year whom we are unable to recognize today from this stage. Congratulations to all of you for the significant contributions you have made to the NYU Wagner community and beyond in terms of your academic achievements, effective teamwork, and overall leadership. Let's have a round of applause for all the NYU Wagner students who won an award. I'd also like to recognize the members of our community who represented NYU Wagner at NYU's 190th commencement ceremony on Wednesday at Yankee Stadium. I think many of you were there, where Sanna Marin, the third female Prime Minister of Finland, addressed NYU graduates and their guests. Wagner Student Association President Maggie Knight carried NYU Wagner's banner into the stadium, and Rachel Bala, our WSA ombudsperson, accepted a diploma on behalf of all our master's and doctoral recipients. I am now pleased to introduce our Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and Professor of Public Policy and Economics, Rajiv Deheja, who will present this year's Faculty Teaching Awards.
I am now very happy to present the teaching awards to my colleagues on the faculty. These awards are based on student votes and acknowledge stellar faculty for the impact they have on their students. The first award celebrates our Adjunct Professor of the Year. We're fortunate to attract talented adjuncts into the NYU Wagner community. These extremely busy and successful professionals teach our students because they are committed to Wagner's mission of preparing the next generation of public service leaders. I am thrilled to present this year's award to Lawrence Wadler. Larry teaches our debt financing and management course. We've been fortunate to have him teach with us for nearly 15 years. In his course feedback, students repeatedly mentioned his enthusiasm and passion for the topic, his extensive experience. They also commented that even though he's very reputable, he's humble. In addition, students expressed gratitude for bringing in guest speakers who are diverse in career, thought, background, experience, and identity. Finally, perhaps, what makes Larry's teaching so outstanding is his ability, according to his students, to make his class fun. Making a course about underwriters, insurers, bond structuring, and long-term debt fun requires true talent, and I'm pleased to recognize an exceptional accomplishment. I'm delighted to present the 2023 Adjunct Professor of the Year Award to Lawrence Wadler. Now, it is my utmost pleasure to present this year's Professor of the Year Award to my colleague, Professor Judy Pryor Ramirez. Judy Pryor Ramirez is a clinical assistant professor of public service at Wagner. She leads our Executive Master of Public Administration program. Her teaching and practice examine the leadership of nonprofit social justice movement building and public leaders using race, gender, and class analyses and community-based participatory action research. Through a lens of justice and equity, Judy is committed to enabling transformative possibilities. We were fortunate to have Judy join us at Wagner as a faculty member just 1 year ago, coming from Bard College's MBA program, where she was an assistant dean and taught leadership. This year at Wagner, she taught the core management leadership course, Gender in the Workplace, Leadership and Social Transformation. Wagner students raved. Fabulous instructor who is clearly so passionate and knowledgeable in her area of expertise. Professor Jay brilliantly modeled feedback. I have really appreciated that Professor Jay consistently asked us to consider the equity question. Professor Jay is a master facilitator, making our in-class conversations the most fruitful part of the class. Teaching quality was truly top-notch. Professor Jay is one of the kindest professors I've had in my entire life. Please join me in congratulating Professor Judy Pryor Ramirez on winning the 2023 Professor of the Year Award.
Now I would like to ask Professor Soo-In Chan, director of our doctoral program, to present our doctoral candidates to be hooded.
Doctoral candidates and faculty advisors, please proceed to the front. I'm pleased to present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy. Our first candidate is Mariana de Santibanez. Her dissertation was titled The Tales of Care, Defining and Contesting Care Problems in Latin America, 1970s to 2010s. NYU Wagner professor Sonia Ospina was her committee chair. NYU Wagner professor Natasha Iskandar was also on the committee alongside Professor Julian Martinez Franzoni of the University of Costa Rica. Professor Ospina, would you please grant Mariana her hood? Our next candidate is Grace Kim. Her dissertation was titled Essays on Patient-Centered Technology in Healthcare. Dean Sherry Gleed was her committee chair. NYU professor Tom Diano was also on the committee, alongside Professor Sunita Desai of NYU Langone School of Medicine. Dean Gleed, would you please grant Grace her hood? Our final candidate is Xiling Liao. Her dissertation was titled Essays on Migration, Urban and Housing Economics. I was her committee chair alongside fellow committee members NYU Wagner professors Ingrid Ellen and Kathy O'Regan. Professor Ellen, on behalf of Xiling's 3 co-advisors, myself and Professor O'Regan, please grant Xiling her hood. Congratulations to our PhD recipients for their extraordinary achievements.
Now, I'm going to ask our graduate candidates in each program to come forward for recognition. Katja Kurtz, Director of Alumni Relations, and Rachel Dubois, Director of Career Services, will join me in congratulating you and welcoming you to the Wagner alumni community. I'd like to ask Professor Paul Smoke, Director of the Public and Nonprofit Management and Policy Program, to present the candidates for the Masters of Public Administration in Public and Nonprofit Management and Policy. David Schachter, Associate Dean of Student Affairs, will read each candidate's name.
Yeah, a little closer. It's got a little closer. Lauren Bloom. Jiaxin Chen. Saril Kasim. Tanapum Tangsamut. Marcin Branovsky. Paulina Davidowska. Rango Kahar. Crystal Laytona. Guillermo Aron Castillo. Megan Noel Cantor. Hannah Larson. Aditi Sharma. Camille Veneracion. Kevin Marquez Arguera. Tess Edwards. Sean Andrew Gilfeather. Spandana Sarapali. Lars Van de Boer. Phil Kehoe. Kartika Fuentes. Aditi Varshni. Kevin Eamon Muleman. Jeremy Baumstein. Incho Day. Yu Yi Lee. Madison Friedman. Quinn Mao. Tyler Rice. Angelica Zundell. Haley Lynn Herzog. Hunter Rabinowitz. Sita Getchis. Alexis Hidalgo. Zoe Merriman. Megan Blair. Brianna Margarita Cole. Maura Ryan. Amada Sarah Teresa Hassan. Zane Gates. Julia Spector. Nayel Lopez. Naya Jahan Ray. Darlenis Cabral. Naima Dahir. Justice Jenkins. Ashika Nagarajan. Edward Alcendor. Francis Eduardo Cáceres. Melody Feo Sverko. Anna Claire Bessendorf. Hannah Johnson. Michelle Smoller. Nathan Neymark. Isabella Vieira. Hunter Bloss. Elizabeth Rilling. Yidan Wang. Shiki Ma. Shiluan Wang. Hanrong Huang. Yuhan Zhang. Yichi Wang. Alex Sun. Danielle Bernos. Jayu Chen. Esma Bengabsia. Su Kyung Kim. Caroline Lawton. Laura McCready. Dor Malul. Alex Resnick. Sophia Annabelle Klein. Catherine Grace Dunn. Alejandra Gonzalez Ariza. Nicole Eason. Costanza Guarino. John Darrell Ocampo. Margot Baynard. How Wei Wen. Wei John Pong. Mu Chin. Peter Fields. Leah Hansen. Chloe Lesieur. Lori Lamb. Maria DeLohan. Sichi Wang. Chunyi Wang. Alexandra Cotis. Elizabeth McGuire. Felipe Ramirez. Helena Whippick. Noah Brook. Sarah Young. Kat Blake. Elizabeth Gelman. Bria Donahue. Ziyi Gu. Peijin Jiang. Yua Huang. Jinny Wen. Yiping Zhua. Kelsey Brock. Gerline Semexant. Shirley Hygerd Roosley. Emma Beth Salzberg. Bergen Bodensteiner. Samantha Clough. Alejandro Galindo. Geneva Trovato. Ariana Javav. Maggie Coughlin. Allison Ranchhouse. Natalie Lewis Voss. Julie Xin. Guanchun Song. Kai Chu. Shuang Yu Chen. Sylvia De La Cruz. Devin Barnes. Bethlehem Aria. Lauren Peterson Green. Leah Kobus. Sarah Benchimal. Sabrina Rivers. Julia Ohanian. Lauren Clark. Lola Akinola. Rachel Henao. Benjamin Goodwin. Saunders Ruffin. Taryn George. Juan Hunka. Elizabeth Maisonnet Warden. Alan Shabate. Lamba Najib. Yuing Li. Juni Ouyang. Kashuen Katharina Wang. Roki Tsao. Brandon Warwick. Mohammed Afzal Dar. Sandon Mims. Michael Jonathan Carady. Taylor Wolfson. Garrett DeGroffenried. Rachel Virginia Moeller. Manya Violetta Johnston Ramirez. Sarah Ann Girard. Blake Lappin. Allison Vitkauskis. Suraya Subramanian. Amran Huang. Fatima Hussein. Justin Campos. Boshan Chen. Xiao Lin. Emily Finkelstein. Michelle Renee Henderson. Carolina Herrera. Lydia Ruddick Schulman. Manuela Perez. Tara Sinead Merrigan. Elizabeth Einig. Daisy Fleming. Alia Aliaf. Malak Alamar. Rachel Fisher. Ashley Priya Persad. Jamir Stewart. Elena Pereira. Zilin Liang. Agnes Kim. Rachel Bala. Jacqueline Ramales. Jagger Huang. Maggie Jean Knight. Annie Schoenberger. Ellie Kiernan. Sai Vichare. Todd Baker. Deborah Dennis. Charmaine Rose-Marie Gentles. Haley Qualls. Chris Noland. And Angelica Christina Gualpa.
Professor Vanessa Dean, Director of the Urban Planning Program, will present the candidates for Master of Urban Planning. Caddy Jones, Assistant Dean of Academic Programs, will read the candidates' names.
Shangtu Jia. Christina Curry. Cassidy Ailish McIntyre. Karen Yao. Shobi Lauren Sparks. Mira Atherton. Jack Greenwood. Maisie Gerald. Michelle Marie Geck. Tabagas Gifari Awasari Wardana. Winnie Shen. Jed Higdon. J.R. Reed. Dominic Sunkowski. Evan Littorello Mancini. Lucia Marquez Reagan. Sarah Internicola. Douglas Pardella. Jacqueline Sherry. Luke Walsh. Alexander Yamron. Jordan Battle. Christina Mejia Cancelado. Daniel Russo. Andrea Guerrero. Andrew Paricio. Jessica Tixey. Kyle Byer. Benjamin Listman. Gav Mazarek. Jacqueline Bine. Sivan Bent Bruce. Deshandi Coombs. Jessa Wang. Sun Sunny Velez. Viviana Vizcaíno Santos. Patrick Farrell Sposter. Aisha Balagan. Gerald Keyshawn Gray.
Professor Carla Jackie Sampson, the director of our Health Administration program, will present the candidates for the Master of Health Administration.
Yana Chertuk. Nancy Milet. Himani Sharma. Tara Javarian. Winelli Florentino. Vanessa Zayas. Judith Emefa Bam. Maya McNeil. Jessica O'Neill Lubinsky. Julia Lubin. Lindsay Hodgney. Ellen Hada. Marie Charlene Domenigno. Bridget Toy. Monica Dereja. Zoe Swainson. Stefania Mendez. Orilua Olantoroba. Himali Patel. Amy Zhao. Mariana de Andrade Silva. Helena So. Dara Shukla. Richard Bao. Kendrick Basso. Austin Daniel Fernandez. Stephanie Maria Penn. Kesha Patel. Jennifer Reynaud. Natalie Aguirre. Ariel Soteropoulos. Jonathan Eden. Zachary Weiss. Jonathan Lightman. Sharera Modi. Rita Yang. Aliyah Ibrahim. Kira Breen Sullivan. Daria Ponomenko. Michael Klein. Suresh Mazar. Nusrat Haq. Erica Hill Wilcox. Bethany Polaris. Michelle Armagan. Diana Lema Cortez. Brian Charles. Christina Lastarza. Dion Alexander. Sushil Sika. Neha Sika. Agata Wozniak. Allison Cho. Julisa Ramirez Wiley. Juhe Kapoor. Sunena Sharma. Ka-man Lee. Ariana Akaya. Lauren Fine. Leah Donegan. Carmen Esteves. Jonathan Navarro. Esdenka Kelly. Carissa Fajardo. Amber Cefalio. Nancy Catherine Gonzalez.
Professor Carla Jackie Sampson is also the director of our Health Policy and Management program. Mic's off. Mic's off.
This is on.
We're Wagner, nothing phases us. Okay. Professor Carla Jackie Sampson is also the director of our Health Policy and Management program, and she will present the candidates for the Masters of Public Administration in Health Policy and Management.
Tamara Kahan. Jennifer O. Ishrat Jahan Oishi. Yasul Lim. John O'Shea. Mihika Shah. Rebecca Gevertz. Calliope Varakis. Danny Choi. Andrew Spencer. Boris Ingberg. Nikita Latwala. Yi Ru Pan. Jamie Friedman. Brooke Casella. Catherine Lopez. Kelsey Pendleton Moreno. Astrid Pineda. Zaina Chowdhury. Aiden Wania. Narisa Dela. Neka Moneme. Celine Castrucci.
Yes. Professor Tom Blaylock, Director of the Master of Science in Public Policy program, will present the candidates for the Master of Science in Public Policy.
Shanze Tariq. Nate Hutchinson. Mariella Ichel Cisneros. Joshua David Rusi. Jeremy Nicholas Teo. Darren Xiao Gua Jin. Shen Yu Zhang. Yizhe Song. Chen N. Gu. Jolene Liu. Wendy Wang.
Professor Judy Pryor Ramirez directs the Executive MPA program, and she will present the candidates for Executive Master of Public Administration for Public Service Leaders.
Whitney Toussaint. Monique Herrera. Carly Smith. Kara Groppler. Twange Shupi Gambi. Caroline Crota. Courtney Bassett. Celine Ashoka Patel. Christopher Lewine. Reed Vreeland. Andre Donegan. Rachel Bierman.
Professor Paul Smoke, Director of the EMPA Global Policy Leaders Program, will present the candidates for the Executive Masters of Public Administration for Global Policy Leaders.
Laura Sofia Martinez. Warren Smolowitz. Sunit Vidyasagar Suravase. Paul Anthony Panignilian. Sarah Santosham. Jacqueline Johnson. Sarah Watar.
Congratulations to the NYU Wagner class of 2023. Now that you are officially Wagner alumni, I hope that each of you will stay connected, make Wagner your home, and that you will carry out your commitment to public service. In order to have a smooth exit, I'm going to ask all the guests to remain in your seats until the faculty recess out of the room, followed by our graduates. And now, faculty, family, I present to you the NYU Wagner class of 2023. Congratulations.